Hey everyone, my name is Nathan Elson and welcome to the channel. Now, I know that on this channel, I do a lot of photography lighting tutorials, often in a large studio with multiple lights and modifiers. And while that's a lot of fun, one of the most common comments that I get on these videos is, well, this is great, but I don't have a large studio or thousands of dollars in lighting equipment to put this to use. And that got me thinking, what's an easy way to create portraits that not only look like they were shot in the studio, but to do so without even having any studio lighting equipment? Well, stick around for roughly the next 8 to 10 minutes, and I'll show you how you can make that happen. Now, the first thing that you need to do is find somewhere that has a fairly large area of indirect sunlight, which in this case is the back alley of the studio, which is north facing, so the light remains consistent throughout most of the day. Now, any area like this will do. And before you start saying, well, you just have the bay door open to your studio and your model is actually standing inside of the studio. Yeah, I tucked my backdrop and V-flats into the studio area because it was getting windy and it didn't want to worry about sandbagging everything and securing reflectors since we only had about an hour to shoot. But it didn't change the lighting in any way, so the concept still applies to any area with indirect sunlight that you can find. Now, the great thing about shooting in indirect sunlight like this is that you get this beautiful soft light that is basically fail-proof as everyone looks good in it. But it lacks the shape and contrast of what I create when I'm shooting in the studio. So to add some of that shape back into my lighting, I am using a V-flat from vflatworld as a flag. Now, for those of you who might not be familiar with the difference between a reflector and a flag, a reflector is anything that you use to bounce light back in towards your subject. So in this case, I've got this piece of white foam core, I've got my key light here, and the light is coming, hitting this and bouncing back into my face, eliminating contrast and filling in the shadows. But with a flag, what you're doing is introducing the contrast back in. So what this is doing is actually absorbing the light. So the light is coming in, and instead of reflecting back, it's being absorbed. And what that's doing is it's bringing out more of the shape of my face, my jawline, my cheekbones, different things like that. So if you want to eliminate contrast, fill in shadows, you use a reflector. But if you want to add in contrast and bring some of that shape back into your subject, use this, which is called a flag, and that will help bring that contrast back into your image. So as I was saying, I'm using the black side of my V-flat from vflatworld. And by the way, this video is not sponsored in any way. These are just great, inexpensive tools that every photographer should own. So I'll link them down in the description below. But by using the black side of the V-flat as a flag, adding in that contrast, I am able to create images that look like this. All right, so before I get into the next set of images, I want to talk to you about the sponsor of this video, which just happens to be me. Now, if you like the black and white conversion of the images that you see in this video, check out my Capture One and Lightroom preset packs. I use them in all of my work, and when you purchase them, it supports this channel and allows me to continue to create content like this for all of you. So check those out down in the description below. Now, the next set of images, I wanted to create even more contrast in the model's face. So I added in a second V-flat on the left side with the black side facing towards the model, which again helps to bring out more of her features as I've basically clamshelled her in black so that the light is more prominent on the front of her face and then it trails off to the sides. Now, is it a night and day difference? No. But is it still a difference? Yes. And oftentimes in portrait lighting, it's the subtleties in your lighting that can really help to make your audience resonate with the portraits that you've created. Now, the little bits of extra shadow and detail, that can be what makes an image come alive just a little bit more. And if that's what you can use to separate you from everyone else's work, then take the time to embrace that subtlety and hone your lighting. Now, with that being said, here are a few more portraits using 2 flags instead of 1. And there you have it. That is how you can easily create studio style portraits without a studio or even lighting gear. So with that, as always, thank you all so much for being here. I appreciate you, and I will see you in the next video. Cheers. Got this here, which, mother